is Victoria Daniels. I am the interviewer, and the date is March 29th, 2025. I'm 20 years old, and I am interviewing
Madison Waller, and I'm 21 years old.
How did you meet me?
We grew up together as cousins. We're like sisters, though. I lived with my grandma and my papa.
And her grandma is my dad's mom.
Yes. So, that's how we knew each other.
Tell me a little bit about your home life.
Okay, when I was 3 years old, I got taken away from my mother and placed with my grandma and my papa and my little sister, because my little sister already lived with them.
And what was her name?
My little sister, Kaylee Kimbler. And that's how we met, obviously.
Yeah, because I used to go over there every Friday to stay all night.
So we was basically like
Raised
sisters, raised together. And everyone at school asked us that too. And I lived with her and my papa my whole life up until a couple years ago. And I moved out in with one of my older sisters. And
What happened there?
well, I graduated, and at the time, obviously, you're young, and you're like, oh, I want to move. So I ended up moving in with her, and that was a traumatic happening. Our roommate at the time did not help us on the month that she decided that she was going to move out. She didn't help us with bills that month. So my boyfriend, we had been together a couple months, and we couldn't pay that month of our bills. So our landlord told us that we could just leave and we wouldn't have to pay that month. So I ended up having to move in with my boyfriend at the time. And that's how we really started our relationship. We was together like 3 months, and we moved in together. We had to get close real fast.
And how did that go? Are you guys still together?
Yes, we are still together. We have been together almost 5 years now.
And is this the house that you guys are still together with?
Yes. Well, we lived at another place before we moved here. And now we have 3 dogs and 3 cats.
Okay. Do you have a job at the moment?
Yes. I work at a nursing home, and I'm a CNA.
How did you start working there?
My grandma and my dad was both in there, so I always wanted to work there, and 2 of my older sisters also worked there, so I already had been there before, obviously. But every time that I went to see like my grandma or my dad, I always wanted to work there because I loved the people. So after my grandma passed away, I took care of her. I wanted to further that and do that because I enjoyed helping people. So I started working there to take the CNA class that they offered, but at the time they didn't have a class, so they started me as an activity aide, and I would do activities with the residents every day. And like, we have bingo, we paint their nails, just little activities like that. And then about 8 months after I worked there, they started a program where I could take my CNA class, and I took it, and it was 4 weeks long. And after that 4 weeks, I took my test and I passed, and I've been working there ever since. I've almost worked there 2 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you work there during the COVID?
No.
That's good. You didn't have to deal with all
Yeah.
that bad.
But when I started working there, COVID wasn't as bad, but there was a COVID outbreak, and we had to wear, actually the first day that when I had my orientation, they made us wear masks. They started the mask again at the nursing home, and that didn't stop till almost Christmas, and that was around when I was taking my CNA class. So that was about 8 months we had to wear masks, and COVID was around there.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't as bad outside, but where they're older, their immune systems aren't as good. So anytime someone comes in there and if they're sick, they usually get it. So they kept it for about 8 months.
Oh, wow.
And passed it around. And I actually didn't have COVID the whole time that it was bad until I started working there.
Because it was all just congested in one area.
And you work around them, doing care with them, so.
What is a childhood experience that shaped you into the person that you are today?
I would probably say, like, my mother, everything that, like, happened with her, which I was still young at the time, so I don't really remember much about it, but I've always wanted to be a mother, and I've always naturally taken care of people. Even when I was little, when we played, like, outside, like, play father and mother, I would be the
You
mother.
would always be the mother.
So I really use that by wanting to better myself and be a better person than her, and be a better mother when I do have kids one day.
What's a little bit that happened with her?
She was on drugs really, really bad, and I had an older sister, which me and her aren't really close. She got taken away from my mother, and she got placed with her grandparents, and then she had me, and when I was about she kept me until I was about 3, and then I got taken away from her.
And then did your sister get taken away too?
Yes. And she got put with my papa and grandma. So, and I was still living with her whenever she gave my little sister to my papa and my grandma. And then CPS came to investigate, obviously, and that's when I got taken away from her when I was around 3. And they placed me with her, with my papa and my grandma, and I had been there ever since. So,
how old was your sister when she got taken away, or gave away?
As soon as she had her, she gave her away. So I really try to use that to better myself and push myself to be more than what my family was, like my mother. And my dad, I didn't ever really know much about him. He wasn't really in my life either. I just had my grandma and my papa, and then my younger sister's father, I always called him my dad. So he was my dad, and then I always called my grandma and my papa grandma and papa. But my grandma was more like my mother, and she's one of the important people in my life that I push myself to be like, and that I strive to be like. So,
do you think what happened in your childhood affected you negatively? And was there any positives you got out of that?
I think it did affect me negatively and positively, both. I would say that negatively it gave me a lot of trust issues because, I mean, your mother is supposed to be the person that teaches you everything in your life, you know, to help you learn about a lot of, especially for a girl, I feel like, about, like, you want to tell your mother about boys and, you know, certain things in your life. And, you know, I didn't really have, I mean, I had my grandma, but I didn't have a mother. And I think that I was really depressed about that. I mean, even though it happened when I was younger, like, as I got older and I could understand more of, like, what had happened during then, it gave me a lot of depression. And every person that came into my life, I think I expected them to leave like she did. I didn't really trust a lot of people, and I kind of blamed myself for that because I thought, you know, maybe it was something to do with me. Did I do something wrong? But, you know, as I've gotten older, I've understood, like she had an addiction. She still actively does. And, it was nothing that I did, and there was nothing that I could do to change that.
So over time, you've learned to grow and
Yeah. And then positively, I would say, that's, like I said earlier, that has helped me as a person to not want to be like them and like people that have an addiction, and it pushes me to be a better person, because I do not want to be like her, and I don't want to use that like
trauma as an excuse.
Yeah. Like, even though bad things happen to you, you don't have to use them as an excuse
to go ahead and do the same.
To do the same as they do. I use that to be a better person and to push myself to be something that she's not, because as I was growing up, I had a lot of people on my mother's side of the family that would tell me that I was going to be like her, or that I was going to follow in her footsteps, and that also impacted me, because I'm not like her, and I don't even look at her as my mother, honestly. She's just a person that was in my life, and I don't ever want to be like her.
Do you think that you'll keep that grudge for like the rest of your life and be able to ever get over it fully?
I do think she texts me now, and she's trying to be in my life. So I don't really use it against her. Like, I try to. I mean, I'll talk to her when she texts, but I don't really think I have a grudge against her, because I do understand that it's an addiction and she doesn't really have anyone to help her with it. So, but I do think I will never forgive her for that, because she's waited 21 years of my life to even try to fix our mother-daughter bond.
Mm-hmm.
But
swinging back to your career, do you think you'll ever further your career in healthcare, or do you like where you're at?
I do like what I'm doing now, but I would also like to further and become a registered nurse. But I don't think that I would like to be a nurse at a long-term care facility, if that makes any sense. Because I do enjoy taking care of people and helping people, and I know that I am like a lot in their lives, because a lot of them don't have anybody to talk to, and they don't have family really that come see them, and I think that for a lot of people there, and I love that I can help people and be a light in their lives. But also I want to go on, and I think I would enjoy working in a hospital a lot better than like a nurse in long-term care. So I would really like to further and become a nurse.
Does your job have negative effects because of the people that you work for and the residents?
Yes. Like, you have a lot of people that aren't there for the right reasons, or you do have residents who are combative and physically hurt you. And also, you, like, if you think about it, you're, like, you have to watch them sadly pass on sometimes, and that does hurt, especially when you build bonds with them and you're close with them and you take care of them for 12 hours each day that you work. So a lot of them you think of as your family, and it's hard to watch them just slowly their health deteriorate. So it sucks sometimes. I've had a lot in the 2 years that I've worked there. I've gotten close with a lot of them, and I've had to watch them pass away, and that does impact your health a lot. especially, you spend 12 hours taking care of people, and then you come home and you have, a family of your own that you have to take care of, and you have responsibilities as well when you leave, and it's hard to maintain your mental health in your work environment and your home environment. And it's hard to separate the two. I feel like I know a lot of people, they don't want to bring their work home, but in this field I feel like you do bring it home with you a lot of the time, especially when you're dealing with watching them deteriorate, especially when you're close with one.
Do you think that the good can outweigh the bad?
Yes, because like I said, I know that I am all that some people have, and that's why I do my job, and I love my job, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I've always enjoyed taking care of people, so that's the good side of it. And when you hear them talk about how they appreciate you, and it just makes you feel good about yourself. So I do think there is more good than bad, because everyone knows that you're going to die. You know that, like, that's the inevitable, and you can't really change that. So if I make their lives even a slight bit better before they go on, then that makes me feel good about myself.
That is good. When did you go to college to become in this a career, or do you plan on continuing any of that?
I did not have to go to college to become a CNA. We have to take a course, but it's not like you don't have to go to college for that. Mm-hmm. You have a class online, and you'll have classes in person there, but they're very short. Like I said, it was 4 weeks. But to further my career, I would have to go to college, because I would like to be a nurse. But I took my class like a little over a year ago, so I haven't been a CNA very long, and I still enjoy doing that.
Did you decide what you wanted to do in high school, or did you do different classes there?
I double majored in high school. I did teaching classes, and I did nursing classes. So I knew it was between both of those. And I actually started college for teaching, but it didn't last very long at the time, because my grandma got sick, and I was working at a fast food restaurant at the time. So whenever she got sick, I quit my job, and I was helping take care of her. So it just didn't go well.
Mm-hmm. How was high school, and did COVID happen while you were still in school, and how'd that go?
I was a sophomore when COVID happened, and it was like it was close to the end of the year almost. We still had like a couple more months left, and at the time I was very depressed. My dad had just passed away, and so I was already dealing with that in classes, and I wasn't really doing well in the classes anyways. And COVID happened, and they put us online. And so, obviously at first everyone's tickled. You don't like school.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really do well learning online, I would say. I do better like in person and seeing things than having it put online and having to do it. So I struggled with that a lot, actually, when COVID happened. But I would say high school, obviously high school's not the best thing, I would say. You learn about yourself, you lose friends, you get friends.
What was your favorite memory from high school?
I would say probably my senior year. I had a lot of great teachers, and I think I was mentally I was in a better headspace than I was the years before, because obviously I was dealing with my dad passing away before we went on our COVID had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So senior year was when
your dad, as in the dad that you count as your
dad.
Your sisters, but yours.
Yeah. But my senior year, that was when we all went back to school. We had to wear masks the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, we didn't have to wear them anymore. But I had a lot of great teachers that helped me that year after, I wasn't doing the best in school when I started back because, COVID and the online classes wasn't really helping me. So when I started back, I felt like really behind. But I had a lot of great teachers, like Miss Angie. You also had her.
Mm-hmm. She was a cooking teacher.
Yeah, she
helped everyone though.
Yeah, she actually bought my prom dress for me and my jewelry and everything for my senior prom that year. So
that's amazing. So did your teachers help you catch up with anything that you missed?
Yeah, I was actually her TA that year for one of my teaching classes. We had to pick a class and be a TA, and I picked her class.
That's amazing.
I really enjoyed that.
How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Empathetic, caring, and funny, probably.
And do you think that the people around you and your friends will agree with how you feel?
Definitely. I think so. I think even my residents would agree.
Do you think they would describe you the same way?
Yes. I think so.
That's good. Okay, I think we're going to end it here. I thank you for being here to interview at your house. Thanks for letting me come interview you.
You're here a lot of the time.
Most of the time. Okay, that concludes it.